All right. Hi, my name is John Dreyfus, and I'm trying to get a fucking video to work so I can do a reaction video. This is for Michael Bordelano, or whatever his name is. Michael Bordelano. Let me see. What does it say here? I should actually have his name. Michael Bordenaro and Jack Morgan. They should be enlightening us with some financial advice going forward. They're both millennials, and I thought that I could add a little Gen X flavor to this, so let's see what happens. Please work.
Try to make things funny. And the reality is, guys, all you can do is kind of laugh about this stuff at the end of the day.
Amen.
Because it's happening, like it's happening that people are sinking into credit card debt. People can't afford houses.
That's for sure.
It's just the reality, right? And instead of sit here and complain and, cry, you can just laugh. So here we go. The first thing I want to share with you guys is the credit card stats. We went over this recently on how bad everybody's into credit card debt, and you show lots of clips on your channel.
I'm not that
about
bad
this.
right now, but I'm
And
getting up there.
The thing is, the credit card debt reached a new record high. It keeps reaching new record highs every single month right now. It just hit 1.13 trillion total. Okay,
I make a
delinquencies
payment,
now
and then I
are
spend half of
6%
it.
of all credit card debt is delinquent, guys. So that is basically
I'm not
at
delinquent.
record highs right now. And yet you have people that you
But
show on your channel.
if I don't
all the
get
time
more channel
that are like,
viewers
yeah,
and
we're
subscribers,
going
that
to
might be.
Europe and we're just spending the money.
Yeah,
We're-
Yeah,
they're
Patreon.
literally is doom spending 101. It's
I love
the
that
best.
doom spending.
They're going to what is the guy? He went to Prague, and he's like, thanks Capital One for funding my Prague trip.
Right.
Like, you're never getting that money back.
And those are the same people that want to get student loan forgiveness and things like that also, because they're entitled to that because they already maxed out their credit card.
Yeah, the doom spending. That is pretty interesting stuff. Actually, I see that a lot. I mean, I did it too when I was younger. Because I just figured I was going to make it back. But they're going to make it harder and harder and harder to get your... If you don't even have a job, you don't even know you got potential yet, and then you're already doom spending, you're basically doom spending yourself into poverty at that point because you're not established enough to actually claw yourself back. So it makes a good point. Doom spending, it's a rite of passage, but it has to be done at the right time.
Gotta love it, man.
Right?
You gotta love it. I think it's great because, I've never had super high credit card debt, but I have been guilty of holding like a $2,000 balance and just paying $100.
Yeah, I'm usually holding like between 2 to 8,000 sometimes, but there's been times where our overall household will hold 15 to 25. But it's just like a revolving, 0% interest, servicing debt. We do have savings where we could just pay it off if we wanted to. We probably should, but that money's in other places doing other things. But, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
A month, which is basically, let's be real, paying nothing.
Right.
So
right.
it just stayed there, forever. And then eventually you got to pay it.
Yeah, we usually dump a large part of our tax return into paying off our debt every year. So we'll hold a balance, we'll balance transfer that and hold it 0% on a bunch of different cards. And then once tax season comes around, we'll usually dump that and pay off those cards or pay off them a significant amount. Whole point is not to incur interest and pay for it. But I'm still guilty on my personal cards that I get interest once in a while.
And then I'm also one of those idiots, too, that got a repo, but we'll get into that a little later.
A repo?
Yeah. Your boy wanted to drive a BMW.
No, I can laugh at that. I was the same way. I'm 25. I went out and did something stupid. I went and bought a BMW 3 Series. Managed to, and it was in San Francisco, and great job, right? I managed to completely fry the transmission within, I think, 6 months of owning it. Spent $7,000 getting the transmission fixed, which I unfortunately got from my mom, which is so embarrassing, and then got it repoed. Like, what of an asshole kid I was, right? Like, don't be me. Don't be me. That was like the... Anyways, let's go on.
25 years old.
You see, that's why I wanted to bring Jack on the channel, because Jack has been around the block and he's made a lot of these financial mistakes that we talk about here on the channel.
Guilty.
Yeah.
Guilty.
And I think it's better to learn from other people's mistakes than to make them yourself. So, that's my philosophy on life. I like looking at what went wrong for somebody else and just avoiding that.
Well, you know what, Mike? I'd like to butt in here. I'm in the vast majority of people. people who have to learn the hard way, that's me. So yes, you're that's why I love your channel, because you're the perfect person that goes, oh, what that guy did? You go, oh, poor guy. You go, thanks for that, though. I'll put that in my back pocket next time I think I want to run up the credit card.
Right. So the real problem is becoming the fact that life in general for basically the majority of the population is getting too expensive. You know, where we're walking through here in this neighborhood is not a real reflection of reality. I get people say things like that a lot on the channel, like, oh, looks like things are going right down there. Like, yeah, we're surrounded by multi-millionaires here.
Yeah, this guy's got a marble driveway. I'm just kidding. It's like cobblestone.
Quickie
but
Mart.
It looks really nice.
Right. We've been talking about the fast food, okay? The fast food prices have been exploding. The credit card delinquencies and delinquencies on all other types of loans
someone's
have
rolling up
also
on you.
been exploding.
Watch out.
But it's because people have been irresponsible for too long, combined with inflation. It's a recipe for disaster. Yeah.
Well, I'm Jack. This is Mike. We're both in the entertainment business, so this is
We
where
both
we
wear
just
tank
met
tops.
up. I'm from West Palm, but he
Hey,
lives up the street here. We're
we're
doing a
both
little
from Florida,
collaboration
so I
thing, doing a
understand.
video.
It's just funny.
His YouTube channel
I
is Michael
actually, I was
Bordenaro. You
gonna
can
wear
check
my
him out.
sunglasses
Yeah, I
for
focus
this,
on
just
real
to,
estate
like,
and
you
the
know,
economy. That's what we're
blend
talking
in.
about today.
And then I'm just here for comedic relief.
Shit.
See, I got her.
Okay.
And I'm Jack Morgan. You can look me up. So we just got stopped by a lady, right?
Right.
Who
Not to
lives
be,
in this neighborhood, which is
confused with Jack Murphy.
multi-buco-dollar, billion-dollar homes. Not billion, but you get the point. She was so out of touch. She was saying that real estate is the best thing, and it's provided her family for generations. And so we're sitting here going, well, how does somebody that doesn't have generational wealth start that?
Right.
And she goes, guess what she says? Oh,
Gotta
I'm
work
put on the
harder.
glasses for this one. She goes, well, you just have to work 8 days a week. And you know what I wanted to tell her, but I bit my tongue because I didn't want to be disrespectful? I said, you see this Range Rover you're driving? This is a modern 25-year-old's idea of a house nowadays.
Dude, rich people are so obnoxious. I mean, again, don't get me wrong. We all, unless you're lying to yourself, we'd all like to be better off, right? Like well off. But the amount of disconnect that's going on right now between people who've had generational wealth, which means like, you know, I would say 3 generations have not had to work, have always had everything at their disposal. You might not know these people because they don't really talk to people who aren't wealthy because it's annoying to them, because people like us, we're always trying to hustle. So we're obviously going to gravitate towards them and try to hustle them, and they don't want anything to do with it. So they just want to like live their life and, you know, live their best life. You know how it goes. So, but yeah, it's frustrating right now because there's so many people who just, they don't even feel any of the inflation. They don't feel any of the just any of the shit that's going on because they're so out of touch, man. Let's go on here.
Living down by the river in a
Yeah.
Range Rover.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that to her, but I didn't.
Ain't no
It's
Range
kind of
Rover.
funny that this happened, Jack. Now that we're making this video today, you know, it's kind of like the perfect situation, right? Like, it just goes to show you how out of touch of reality people can be and living in their own world,
Especially in
because
Florida,
they've
man.
already made it, so to
Oh.
speak, you know? And that's like when I say all these things on the channel, you know, about people being broke. We're talking about the credit card debt, the fast food prices shooting through the roof, the delinquencies, everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that
The fast food stuff, that totally boggles my mind. I mean, I remember living in New York, and I remember seeing that so many low-income families that were, you know, usually of color, were solely living off of McDonald's. Like, that was their... I think, like, mom brought home McDonald's at night, and the kids were on their own to figure out lunch and breakfast, which was either from the school or stolen from the bodega, I guess. But, yeah. I can't even imagine, like, what the price of feeding a family of 5 would be for McDonald's. It's just, ugh, I get sick thinking about it.
that's the reality for everybody, like basically 80 or 90%. Okay?
Oh yeah, easy.
It's only the top 10, maybe 20% of people that don't face those issues on a regular basis, and that's part of the problem, man. It really is.
Sorry
Yeah,
for the
no,
bad video. I'm on a crappy
it
Mac right
was
now.
funny because I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I was like, I
I'll
lived
get the
in a
new one
Ford
out
Fusion
later.
for 3 months. I would really, I wanted to say that to her so badly just to kind of paint her a picture, because she tried to tell us she comes from generational wealth, but she said she understands.
Oh, she understands.
So I'm sitting here like, okay, well, me and this guy here, we don't come from generational wealth.
Definitely not.
We're trying to figure it out. Like, Mike
We're
here
definitely
is
trying to
way
figure
ahead
it
of
out,
me.
though.
That's why I watch his channel, so that the guy like me who jokes around about everything could actually take something serious for once and figure out what to do with my money that I have sitting in a checking account. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Anyways, keep it rolling, baby.
One thing that you
But he makes a good point there. I mean, so much of this is about just making your money a vehicle to get more money. I, for one, was not really taught how to manage my money other than, how to do a balanced checkbook, which is more than most people. Everything I've had to learn about investments or, how to manage money has been on my own through my own research. But I know that, there's other families that are involved within the financial services industry and who are involved within just banking in general or business in general. That was not my family. I came from a pretty blue collar, I don't know, sales, white collar. I mean, my dad was a salesman, but he sold the blue collar people. So it wasn't like really a white collar job. My mom was a teacher. So money was not like readily available to just sling around into investments. So there was no real investment intelligence, given to me. So I made a lot of mistakes over my years. I had stock options, stocks, blown it. I've just done stupid stuff. We'll get more into that, but it really comes down to education. One thing I'm learning now just from doing a startup or starting to do or trying to spin up a startup is that just like working in a corporation, it really comes down to institutional knowledge. You have to understand how the business works. Once you understand how the business works, then you know exactly what you need to get up front in front of someone and check the boxes so that they'll give you money. Until then, you're just blind, just grabbing for nothing. But as I said, it would be a lot more helpful if this was actually told to everyone. But then again, that might be the little bit of gatekeeping going on. Like, if you're not willing to make the effort to go figure it out, then maybe you shouldn't be there to begin with.
You said before, Jack, was like, you said that you are good at saving money, but bad at investing. So what do you mean by that? Like, you just kind of mentioned that a little bit briefly. So let's hear that.
All right, let me give you the scoop, the details here, the deets.
Sorry, it's bugging out there.
Wants to know. Tell us the money. So basically, I've always been what you would call, I guess, a hustler. My dad owned his own business. I learned at a young age, to try and make money on my own. But I also always had a job. So I'd have a job and a side hustle, which is nowadays that's just normal. But back then, I was kind of one of the only guys doing that, especially with all the people I knew back in 2008 and 9. So what I'm saying is I've always been the guy who's never been short on money. Never worried about paying the bill, paying the check, all of that.
I hustled a lot when I was young. But once I started getting corporate jobs, I stopped hustling, man. I really, really, really fell back on just the stupid corporate life. This is probably the reason why I'm doing this YouTube channel. Is I need to get a side hustle going. I'm trying to do a new startup, and I don't have a job currently. And I'm running out of severance payments, so here we go.
But with all that money, I never did anything with it. So therefore, when things hit the fan, which things are gonna hit the fan sometimes, you're gonna...
Can you feel it? I can feel it.
Hit low moments. I don't care what bracket of money you're in. So when things hit the fan, and let's say I had 30 grand saved, all of a sudden, I went from making $5-6 grand a month, back when $5-6 grand a month was like a big deal. No offense to anybody making that. You should still be proud of that. But like, all of a sudden, I go from making $6 grand a month to making $3 grand a month. But my bills are $3 grand a month because I didn't make a budget. And I didn't do anything with that money to make more money with it. So anyways, now at the ripe age of 34, I have started to do these things, but it's taken me forever to figure out what to do with the money besides just have money in my pocket.
Don't get down on yourself, man. You're 34 years old. If you're figuring this out now, That's great. Now, what you need to do, now that you're starting to figure this out, is avoid one thing by all costs, and that is do not get a drug addiction or some sort of other addiction. I know that's crazy to say, but you seem like you got life kind of sorted out, That's the one thing that kind of comes out of nowhere. But I don't know, man. Jack, you've been through some shit. I know that your dad currently has dementia. Your mom died. You had to go through a lot of stress. But, you're living in a stable environment. I believe you have a girlfriend. Yes, I'm having a parasocial relationship with you, and I'm deeply involved with your head. But, yeah. Don't worry it, dude. Just, you're on a nice trajectory up. Your YouTube channel's like blowing up, man. You're a funny guy. Michael here, handsome dude. What can you say, right? Both of you are going to do well. You're doing well. You've inspired me. So, I don't know. Just keep doing what you're doing. We'll all keep doing what we're doing. And hopefully we'll all see each other at the other end of the rainbow.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I have $500 cash on me. I feel comfortable in this neighborhood. But let's say I
Since COVID, I don't have any cash on me. I have a bunch of $1 bills. That's it. From when I have to get change from a stupid ATM thing. I don't know, but yeah, it's crazy, right? I don't carry any cash on me.
have 50 grand sitting in a checking account. Okay? It's in a checking account. That's shame on me for that. That's all I'm saying, but I'm realizing this now.
That's crazy.
I didn't understand shame on me
but I've
for
seen
that,
it
because no one
countless times.
told me this.
Right.
My parents didn't tell me this.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I mean
No one's
by
parents
that.
told them how
I've
to
always
do
been able
this,
to make the
unless we
money.
had rich parents.
It's just doing something with the money. That's my issue. But now I'm learning. And thanks to you, and thanks to a couple other channels out there too.
I'm glad to hear that. That's been always like the goal with the channel here. Like, people say it's gloom and doom. People say this is so negative, but that's how you get people's attention, right? If you talk about something negative and
front run the doom, okay? Just front run the doom. It's going to get shitty out there, okay? We all know it's more likely to get shitty than get better. That should be all the information you need. It's right in front of you.
and it sounds really bad, that should get your ears perked up and say, maybe I should avoid doing that.
Yeah,
right?
you turn a negative into a positive.
Right,
That's how
exactly.
pictures are made.
Exactly. It's kind of like a reverse psychology thing. Let's hear about all the bad stuff to avoid it and make your life better.
There you go.
That's kind of how I always looked at it. That's just like learning from people's mistakes, like I was saying earlier. But anyways, let's get into some real estate topics here.
All right, let's do that.
We talk about a lot. So I saw a story today talking about how unaffordable the housing market is and how the American dream is under siege right now because most people cannot afford to buy a home, right? You have people like this couple, for example, is about our age right here. They 36-year-old couple, okay? They live in Atlanta. One of them actually works for the BLS of Atlanta, so she's looking at inflation data.
What's the BLS? I'm so sorry.
The BLS is the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
See, I'm learning here with you guys.
Right.
And real quick, not to interrupt, but this is kind of odd for me. I'm used to being in your guys' situation, watching Michael talk, so I'm getting adjusted here. Anyways, keep going.
I know
So
you
somebody
feel.
like this, 36-year-old couple, one of the people works for the BLS in Atlanta, okay? So they're looking at this inflation data on the regular because that's their job right now, okay? They're saying, I don't know if we're ever going to be able to afford to buy a home. There's no way we can afford it. It's not the interest rates, it's the closing costs and the down payment is the biggest obstacle, right? And so this couple's losing faith that they're ever going to be able to move up the socioeconomic ladder.
So as someone who actually bought a home probably in the last 5 years with my wife, I was lucky. We honestly, if the circumstances hadn't lined up the way they lined up, I don't think we would have been able to buy a house. We were looking at places, but everything was kind of just out of our price range. It was $500K. Now I live in Illinois, north of Chicago, suburbs. So, your average house is going to be between, I would say $400,000 to about $600,000, for a family of four, family of five type house, 2-story. What is it, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom? I don't know. But yeah, we found, about we got a house that the interest rate was ridiculous, like 3.5% or 3% or something, and we actually got a landlord to sell us the house. So all these like very impossible things lined up for us to buy a house. But other than that, I think the only way the new generation is going to be able to buy a house is when their parents die, because that's it. It's the only time they're going to get a windfall of any kind, and it's going to be up to them to realize how to invest it. Now, honestly, the housing market might be so inflated at that point that they can't even invest, but we'll see. We'll see.
So here's the problem. People feel bad. They feel like they're never going to get out of the situation they're in, right? And I know Jack can relate to this. This was me too. Before I started the YouTube channel, I felt like that. I felt like, I'm doing okay with real estate. I'm paying the bills. I'm still saving some money, but it wasn't anything groundbreaking like, oh my God, I'm really going to get ahead and be able to retire one day or anything like that. Okay. But when you're in that situation, it can make you feel like you're never going to get out of it, right? Until the opportunity presents itself that comes forward and says, and you have something that's like, okay, maybe this is going to work for me. Maybe I should give this a try. Jack is a good example of this because Jack is actually one of my OG YouTube subscribers, okay?
Since he had 500 subscribers.
Exactly.
I'm proud of that.
And I know this for a fact. I know he's not just saying that because I remember his name and his picture commenting on my videos back when I only had 500 subscribers. So it's so cool to have him here on the channel. And now guess what? He has his own successful YouTube channel.
Thank the Lord.
That is so awesome, man.
All hail Google.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thanks, man. And to chime in with feeling kind of like, what the hell are we going to do?
I don't know, man. What are we
I felt
going
the
to do?
same way, man. I was bartending, restaurant business a long time. Bartending's great money, too.
Good money.
Any of you guys
Good money.
thinking of some kind of
I wish I
hustle?
did it.
Bartending's wonderful. Just don't get trapped in it. But I was bartending and selling used items on eBay. That's why I brought the thrift store up stuff. That's, you could actually make some pretty good money selling stuff on eBay if you know what you're doing. A lot of these like gurus like try and say, oh, it's so easy. It's really not. It's like anything else. But I felt trapped. I was like, this is my life. I'm selling people poison. No offense, I drink here and there. And I'm selling used goods on eBay. And I said, I just was at this crossroad where it's like, we're in an era where you got to do something bold. And I hate to tell you guys that, but that's kind of what it is. You don't have to, but to really get ahead, that 8 days a week stuff's true, at least for a while, until you could.
Honestly, he really has a good point there. Let's put it this way. The amount of jobs that are going to exist going forward into the future is just going to get less and less. So it's going to get harder and harder to find a job. So even if you have a specialty, that's the thing, is normally you could say, I have a tech specialty or this, but AI is going to just erode away so much of the workforce. It's just going to be insane. Like for one, my background is technology. So I've been involved in web application development and distribution, deployment, all that stuff on a corporate enterprise basis and startup basis and design agency basis, all sorts of things. I've done it for 27 years. And I have to say that, when someone hires me, I'm expensive because I am a big ship to get started. I take a lot of gas and, I got a lot behind me, a lot of momentum. I don't do little things. I do big things. But that's be said, someone who has less experience than I have with ChatGPT could basically do 75% of my job now. So there's no real reason to have me around and pay for me. So he's right. Like, I'm feeling at the point where I don't have a degree either. So my next step, or where I should be right now, is I should be in corporate leadership. I can't break the manager level to director level area. I'm stuck in middle management basically, and the only way I'm going to get into leadership of any company is either through a startup that I work with or a startup I do on my own. And that's what he's saying. You got to do big things. You cannot rely on someone else's company to support you anymore for the rest of your life. Very, very few jobs out there are secure, will be secure enough for you to make a career out of. You're more or less making a career out of what you do for a living, not necessarily where you work, if that makes any sense.
Could relax.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I have faith in people.
Absolutely.
I know it's possible. It just seems like it's not, but you kind of got to go outside the norm, which I'm sure most of you guys already know this.
Yeah, and you have to try things. You know, like for me, for example, the YouTube channel wasn't the first thing I tried. Once I decided that I wanted to get out of...
I get antsy making these videos, man. I want to jump around. I want to get up. I want to walk around. I'm totally ADHD, so I have a hard time staying in my seat. So sorry if I'm all twitchy over here.
Of real estate because, you know, I'm just sick of doing it. I'm sick of the lies, sick of all the BS, sick of, you know, transactions not closing, people not following through with what they say they're going to do, because I'm not that kind of person.
Tell me about it.
Okay, I wanted to get out of that.
Running
And
after
I tried
phantom
different things.
investors.
I tried email marketing. I tried affiliate marketing. I tried running a blog for a while. I tried different things as a side hustle that didn't really work out. But when I came across YouTube and I saw other people doing it, and I heard, you know, how much money people could make doing YouTube, things like that, that sparked the next opportunity in my mind. And people like to complain, right? We hear all this stuff about people not being able to pay the bills. Everybody's going broke. And I'm not going to be the one telling you that everybody needs to start a YouTube channel and that's going to be your path to success.
Please don't everyone start a YouTube channel.
What it is you have to be willing to try something new. If your current situation isn't working out, you have to get on to something new, guys. You have to look at your skills. You have to look at what are you good at and try to find a way to twist that into a money-making opportunity. I mean, that's what Jack recently just did.
I mean, I got forced into doing the eBay thing, okay? I always had some kind of a side hustle, all right? Whether it was legitimate or not, or the right, you know, maybe not the...
My problem is I'm lazy. I wish I would do the eBay thing, but I don't know, man. I need to structure my life more so I can like do things, but that's a whole other video.
correct things, selling some kind of sketchy products. I was young, but I fell into the eBay thing because of hard time. When I said making that $6,000 a month and all of a sudden making $3,000, I said, I have to do something about this. And I just started selling random stuff in my house. I had camera equipment, I had all types of stuff. And once I realized that these things were selling, I said, oh, maybe I could do this. And I just so happened to like thrift shopping. And this is back when no one was really doing it. But it is something, there's like all these out of the box things that are out here. And you know, when traditional stuff isn't working out, you can still keep that. And no, I get it. Nobody wants to go to work all day, come home, and then work somewhere.
Right.
I get it.
No one wants to do that. But I mean, I'm forever trying to find that elusive, if you do what you love, then you'll never work a day in your life. Don't even get me started on that shit, dude.
But unfortunately, that's going to be the case for a lot of us here. It's the case for me. It's the case for Michael. And if it's the case for you, just know it's not forever. But when you try, sometimes, just maybe, it'll work out for you. I have faith in you. I believe in you guys. Anyways, keep going.
Thanks, dude.
Absolutely. So basically, a lot of people right now say it feels impossible, right, to get ahead. But both of us are kind of like walking proof that that's actually not true. But anyways, let's take a look at a couple other people's stories here, okay? You have this 31-year-old registered nurse in Oakland, California, okay? And her husband is a cop. And they have to pay daycare of $2,500 a month, okay? So she decided, I'm gonna stay home and take care of the kid because it's not worth.
Dude, don't even get me started. We have a nanny, and that's costing $2,800 a month, about. Yeah, so childcare is a real deal, dude. But yeah, let's go on.
Worth, you know, paying this now. And they said, I feel like we're going to be 50 years old by the time we're able to buy a house, right? And as they're struggling to buy a house right now, they're saving to buy a house, guess what? One of their rich parents actually bought them a house to live in for free.
Oh, bless
Ooh,
their
that's
souls.
nice.
Right, so they're living in a free house right now, but they're sitting there saying, well, we're not going to be able to afford our own house until we're 50 years old, guys. So it's funny because people like this are basically
They get the power of attorney and then borrow against it and go buy something stupid. That'd be even better.
living on Easy Street. They're living in a free house, and they're acting like they have something to complain about. You know, that just goes to show you how out of touch with reality a lot of people are. Like, if you're living in a free house that your parents bought for you, why on earth are you going to try to, you know, save money to buy your own? I don't see why anybody would do that.
As I just said.
And I feel like there's a lot of people out there like that maybe have gotten some sort of huge.
There's a lot of people out there that seriously have this desire that they need two houses to be like validated. So they'll inherit a house from their parents, or they'll get a house given to them by their parents, and that won't be enough. They'll think that, oh, I need to have another house because if I don't have a mortgage like everyone else a mortgage, then I can't flex that I have two houses. You get what I'm saying? It's really dumb.
Huge leg up, some kind of big opportunity, and they're the
It's about as dumb as buying a BMW when you're 25 years old.
ones out there who are saying right now that the economy is great and that there's nothing to worry about. All these jobs numbers are looking fantastic. The GDP was up at the end of last year, and that's why we don't have to worry. And people like that kind of perpetuate this as being truth. But then on the other side of the spectrum, you see all the delinquencies going up. You know, we started off with the credit card debt. We're starting to see the delinquencies for auto loans go up as well. So almost record high numbers right now. And that's a reflection of reality. If people are borrowing money to pay for bills, to pay for groceries, things like that, how long can that last for?
And to butt in on that, I'm actually somebody who did inherit a house, but it wasn't scot-free.
Well, this
My
is
mother
interesting.
passed away all of a
Pay
sudden.
attention here.
Rest in peace, Mom. She would love your channel, by the way. When she passed away, she still owed a bunch of money on the crib. She was behind in HOA payments. So not only, and she wasn't well versed in this money sphere. She didn't have a will, she didn't have any of that. So when she died, to get the house, I had to pay a lawyer 10 grand. I had to pay another 3 grand to the HOA for another lawyer on
HOAs, man. What the fuck, man? Like, that's a whole other rabbit hole to go down.
top of the late HOA payments. But and then people come after your house and try and sue you, which is something I learned about. So all said and done, when this happened, I had around 45 grand saved, okay? I feel comfortable telling you guys this. And I felt pretty good about myself when this happened about 4 years ago. But just within 3-week time, I spent more than half of that, and I'm sitting here calling my poor grandfather who just, you know, lost a daughter to ask for some help because I'm running out of money so quick. So, because I've heard Michael here talk about people inherit homes, usually they have to sell them.
Right.
Well, I said no to that because I was like, no, I'm keeping this house. And I did what it took, though. It was a 3-bedroom townhome. It was not paid off, still isn't paid off. I filled in the bedrooms. You get what I'm saying? Because I had to. And that's not the case anymore.
I'm not going to make a joke. I wonder what you could fill those rooms with right now. And maybe charge upwards to $300 a week.
It's years down the road, I still have one roommate. He's a best friend of mine because, you know, why not? Why, I just live there, you know, I can afford it. But at the time, though, that was a big, big thing. So, you know, some people get these free houses and it's like triple chilling.
Yeah.
You get a house, you get a house, and you get a house.
But then you got the other side of the spectrum. I'm not saying poor me, okay? Was it worth losing my mother? No. But at the same time, I wasn't in this position where it's like, here you go, you're chill. It was like, no, here you go. Here's way more responsibility than you've ever had in your life.
Absolutely.
So, but I did what it took.
You had to do everything it took to hang on to it.
Yeah. So I'm not saying poor me.
Yeah, I had to watch my wife try to like settle my or her stepmother's estate when she passed, and it took 6 months, man. It was a pain in the ass.
I'm just also painting you a picture on the other side of inheriting a house. Because let's say
Insurance companies are horrible.
right now you're making $3,500 a month. You inherited a house. The mortgage is $2,500. You get what I'm saying? Anyways, upward and onward, Michael.
Here's the other problem, guys.
All right, home stretch.
The way things are going right now, with basically everything in life in general becoming unaffordable, you have a lot of younger people that are deciding not to have kids. I don't have any kids. Do you have any kids, Jack?
No, but you know what I do want? I do want a kid. I really do.
Thank
and,
God.
You know, the lady I'm with now.
Do it. Do it.
You know, in a perfect world, we're together forever and all that. But you know, it's at the same token, you know, we're sitting here like we're just now getting things situated. She's about.
I'm an old dad. I had a kid at 45. I'm 47 now, so I'm trying to actually have a second kid.
5 years behind me. I'm 34, but it's kind of like back in the day, it was like moving out at 18, right? And I know in a lot of cultures that's abnormal, actually. Usually they live together for quite a while. But
You gotta think about it this way: an investment in your kid is kind of an investment in yourself. You just have to accept that. You know, yes, they cost a lot of money, but they're also going to take you out of the mix on a lot of things. So you're not going to have the time you used to have. So that time you were spent out fucking about doing nothing, spending your own money, you're now fucking about with your kid, spending money on him. It's not a bad way to spend your money, honestly.
But now it's kind of like instead of figuring it out by 24 like back in the day, people are it's like hitting that 30 to mid 30 mark is where people are going, okay, I think.
Unlike the stripper, your kid's going to take care of you when you're old.
I think I kind of have a grip on life, maybe.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's really odd, like Twilight Zone stuff.
Yeah, so it takes you now basically until maybe your early to mid 30s to kind of starting to feel financially secure.
That's fine. That's fine.
And for women, you know, they're already running the clock out at that point. You know, they're getting within 10 to 15 years of.
Yeah, but chicks, if they wanted to, they could get pregnant at 25. They making their choices on their own, and that's feminism. No girl that I know is just like, oh God, I wish I could. Like, no young girl is wishing that she couldn't have. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's a choice they make.
Not even being able to have a child anymore, and then you have to make the decision. Do I want to screw
I mean, that's why most of the 25-year-old girls are looking for 35, 40-year-old men now.
up everything I just built, right? Because that's what basically having a kid does, because you're throwing a huge wrench into the machine, right? You now have this extra expense, you have a new priority, and if you're even lucky enough to get to the position where you can afford one, you know, a lot of people are saying, maybe I don't want to do this.
One thing you're forgetting, though, is the headspace having a kid puts you in. I would have to say I take life a lot more seriously than I did. And I know that sounds stupid, but it's just something where it's like, unless you have a kid, you don't necessarily fully understand. I can tell you how it feels. But until you actually experience it, you don't totally feel it. You don't understand. So I think having a kid makes me more accountable. Now, there's millions of examples around me of having kids makes people shitty and people just remain shitty. So I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the opportunity is there. A kid is an opportunity to better yourself if you wish to take it upon yourself to get better.
Because it's just not worth the hassle. It's not worth, you know, screwing up my entire life over that
Yeah, it is.
already worked so hard to get to this point, and now I'm going to be struggling financially again because I have a kid.
Yep.
So I think that's where
Stop coping. Just do it.
a lot of young people are at with it. I know that's where I was at with it for a while. Now it's more of just like a wrestle of, do I even want to deal with having kids anymore, more than the financial side of it. But still, man, it's like,
Even if you don't want to have kids, if your wife starts to hit 35, she's going to want to have kids, so you're going to have kids.
this cannot continue to move forward. That's kind of like the big message I've been spreading here on the channel.
Yep.
Is everything is unsustainable. The home prices, nobody can afford. Having a kid, nobody can afford. Paying for the groceries, nobody can afford.
Nope.
So how does that move forward?
I don't know, and I feel you, man. It's getting really tight here, and I am definitely living upper middle class. I mean, I have 2-income family normally. I'm not making an income now, but I do get severance. So, but we're feeling it, man. It's tough. I can't imagine people out there who have nothing, who are just getting by a paycheck to paycheck. There's got to be some scary shit.
is kind of like my big question mark with all of this. And
It's definitely eroding people's mental
I don't know,
health
guys.
eventually.
I mean, you tell me. You tell me how does this move forward? What is your take on it, Jack?
I think, honestly, like I said to that lady who pulled up to us, the out-of-touch woman in the Range Rover, no offense if you're watching this, seemed like a very lovely woman, just a bit out of touch with most of society. I think things are going to take a royal dump. Do I want that to happen? No. But I really do think, the history repeats itself thing, the Great Depression. We're not making any of this stuff up. We're not sitting here going doomsday on you guys saying, Great Depression's around the corner. Well, I'm just saying it's happened before, and that's how things reset back then.
Right.
That's what reset
He
for
gets
a
his
long
timeline
time.
a little
Everybody
mixed
wants to
up
say
here.
boomers, boomers, boomers. Well, guess what? They were when the reset happened, those were the people that were there to experience the rebuild.
Okay, so I'm just gonna help him out here. So I think Jackie's, the financial reset was the Great Depression, but the ramifications of it building back really didn't start until after World War II, because it was, World War. Right? It was the 30s, and then there was a World War, and so shit was fucked for a long time. But once the 40s happened, that's when both the baby boomers were basically born 47, I think, and above. So, it's going to be all those soldiers that came back from the war had kids, and those are the baby boomers.
Everything went down, they were right there with it. So
What happened with the baby boomers is they came of age right at the time where we were at the pinnacle of our economy, honestly. And at that point, you can see that the high point was when Nixon went off the gold standard. And then we just fucking went, we're still going, money. Right now, the money printer goes, brr.
if that were to happen, I guess the upside to it would be we would be the new boomers,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
Where, and even if you didn't have everything in order, at least everything's down. So you have a way higher probability of being able to.
I think honestly right now the only way to pierce a class structure, or explain, in order to straddle to another class, to get from one class to another class, the only vehicle you can do that with is either by marrying into that class or presenting some sort of company that will allow you admittance into that class. I can't see there's any way that, unless you're a professional dentist or doctor or something, that any office workers out there, even vice presidents, they don't make that much money.
The long run, right? Nobody wants to do
Sorry,
the
I
long
got
run
some
anymore.
allergies.
But that's what I think is that's my personal
I'm allergic
opinion.
to cocaine.
And like I said, I'm just kind of here for comic relief. I hope I'm doing a
joking.
good job. And that's just how I see it. I like to call BS. And not in an I told you so way, but just kind of like, you probably think the same thing. And I don't know, we're going to see what happens, but that's kind of my opinion on that. I think things just got to take a dump.
So here's the problem now, because
Here's the problem.
Jack said, really everything kind of needs to come crashing down. That's what I believe needs to happen as well. But now I'm really starting to question is if that is ever actually going to be allowed to happen, right? Because now we're in this situation where the government has shown that they can come to the rescue when things really start going south. And COVID was proof of that, right? They came in with all the stimulus packages, they gave people a lot of money, and they printed $6 trillion in the
It's insane how much they
So
printed.
that's no joke. That's what really happened. And now my train of thought is maybe they will.
I can't really even come to terms with how much money they printed. It's such a vast sum, and in proportion to what they printed before, it's just kind of mind-boggling. I don't even know. It's almost as if it's all fake, which I think it is.
Do something like that again if this entire system we have right now starts to come to a crash, because I think it's gotten to the point where maybe they look at it as it's too big to fail, right? If just like they bailed out the banks, they bailed out the automakers and those guys back in the 2008 crash, Well, now it's the whole damn world that's too big to fail. It's not just, the automakers and the banks.
It's a good point. I mean, and in some ways, that's why there's a push for world governance at this time, like a body of world governance. Currently, right now, we have the UN as the world governance body, but it's, it doesn't have dictatorial powers over any one nation. It can, kind of flex itself upon the authority of many nations putting authority to it. But it's pretty much benign on its own, except for policy. Policy-wise, it's really, soft power-wise, it's doing probably more damage than the CCP is. And in many cases, maybe it is the CCP. Maybe it is the CCP. We're not quite sure, actually. I don't know. I mean, that might be absurd to say, but the WHO is definitely, owned by the CCP. So why wouldn't the UN? Who knows?
Anymore. And so I wonder if they're ever actually going to let that happen. But even if they don't, right? Say they come in.
Well, the world is basically being held with a gun to its head by the United States government and the military. Because if the world does not accept the U.S. dollar, we bomb you.
And they give people all the stimulus and they pay people's bills and rents and all this.
Accept our currency or die.
Just imagine what that's going to do to inflation and the cost of everything. You think it's bad now? Just wait until something like that happens.
It's so funny. I'm so used to watching you talk on my phone. I was literally in my head just wanted to go, seriously. I wanted to leave a comment, but I'm here. I could leave a comment.
You can leave your comment.
That's hilarious. No, I just was thinking, I was just like, dude, it's not funny, but I can't help but laugh.
Yeah, that's all you can do, man.
It's
is
sad.
You laugh, Now here's the next biggest trap that I see people falling into, right? And I kind of discussed this a little bit with the woman in the Range Rover off camera, but I'm seeing more and more advertisements of trying to get people to borrow money to buy a second home or to borrow money against their current home in order to pay the bills or go on vacation or put the addition on the house or whatever.
Not smart.
Yeah.
Take a loan against your house to buy a timeshare.
It's really not smart. It's kind of like one of the worst financial decisions you can make right now. So think about it. The idea is, borrow money so that way you're going to go into more debt and your house payment's going to be higher now at a time when the cost of everything is exploding through the roof. And if something happens like what Jack was saying earlier, your income gets cut in half, how are you going to pay for all of it? And I think that could be one of the catalysts that could, bring the whole shit down, so to speak. But there's really so many different things, guys. Like, that's just a guess, just speculating at this point of what could happen. But anything is possible.
Yeah, and I just wanted to chime in one last time. I said I had a repossession earlier. It wasn't because I couldn't afford the payments. It was because I was an idiot and bought a BMW without a warranty. And I couldn't afford the maintenance.
Classic. Let's hear them out.
I actually refused to afford the maintenance because it was so expensive. $2,000 every time it broke down, which seemed to be every other month.
I'm telling you, dude, that's the thing with those cars. They are amazing cars to drive. I don't blame you if you have one. If you can afford it, great. But the maintenance is insane. I bought my BMW for like $13,000, and I think I dumped $7,000 in it in maintenance in the first year, and I was used.
And another thing about being guilty of doom spending myself, I didn't doom spend with other people's money though. That's something, I guess a little bit when my mom died, I guess I did use some of hers, but that was depression at the same time. Still guilty. But I never went into high credit card debt. Never. Biggest credit card balance I ever had was $2,000. So, and I have a high limit right now. I think I can get up to like $10,000 in credit. I'm just too afraid to end up. That is one lesson I'll learn from other people. So that's one thing I just wanted to kind of chime in and say about, is that's something that I've always just been like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? It's just kind of, once you get too high of that credit card debt, man, it's almost like, good luck.
I know.
That's all I got to say about that.
That was me, When I moved to Miami, I had to pay the rent a couple times and put that on the credit card, and that really, tripled my credit card debt overnight in just a couple of months. and then I had to spend the next 6-7 years digging out of it, you know? So
6 years, geez.
Yeah.
just because you had to pay the rent a couple times, you know?
It's
And
classic.
I think a lot of people are doing things like that right now. It doesn't
Yep.
matter what you're using the money for. It doesn't have to be paying the rent, but you're digging into a hole that is going to be near impossible to get out of unless your income is going up exponentially.
Yeah, you dig a hole, you make a pile, and that pile is going to be a heaping pile of crap you're going to have to pay back.
That's a
For
good one.
sure. So here's the other thing with real estate, guys. Like, I have never told anybody that you should or shouldn't buy a house. What I do is I give people the data and I give people, you know, an outlook of where things could go in the future, and you kind of have to make your own decision from there. But I want to share this one last piece of data with you guys in this video, and it's something I found thanks to a channel I follow over at Adam Taggart from Thoughtful Money. He shared this, and I took a look at it, and I was just stunned by this, okay? Take a look at this chart here. What this is this shows you the amount of baby boomer households that are going to continue to be liquidated from now all the way through 2035, okay? So basically
Lot of
the
houses.
next 12 years. And they're saying between now and those next 12 years, it's going to be about 9.2 million households that are going to be sold on the housing market at some point, just during the next 12 years. And it'll probably keep increasing from there as more baby boomers continue to pass away. And here's the thing, guys. If that happens, okay, think about this. Right now we have about 1.3 million homes for sale on the U.S. housing market. Just according to this chart, by 2026, we'd have an additional 1.5 million just from baby boomers passing away and selling. So that would more than double the current inventory we have in just 2 years.
And just to like talk about the baby boomers passing, don't you can bet your ass that there is a god awful amount of people scheming and who have been scheming for years on how to get between you and that and money, that inheritance money. So if you know, like me, my parents are kind of baby boomers, or my mom is. My dad passed already, but my mom is about 4 years older than a baby boomer. But you know, once that there's so much capital locked up within baby boomer real estate in investments. When that starts to trickle down to Gen X and millennia, it's going to be crazy. It's going to be crazy.
And so the other part of this whole
That is if we still have a life or society left after AGI, right?
whole big thing, this whole problem we have in the economy is so many people are chasing becoming a homeowner at the most unaffordable time in history. But when you look at data like this, what it shows you is that in the future, we are going to have a lot of inventory. There's no two ways to slice it. We keep hearing the stories about how there's an inventory shortage, right? Well, the inventory shortage is temporary. It's just for now. And you do have a lot of builders coming to the rescue. There's been a lot of home building recently. There's been a lot of new rental buildings being built as well to make up the difference. But when we get this surge of baby boomers that are selling because they're just no longer with us, you know, that is going to be the kiss of death for the real estate market, guys. And I think people that are continuing to chase it right now and just, you know, worried about, oh, am I going to be able to get into the house today? If I don't, I'm never going to be able to afford it. They're buying into a massive lie right now, unfortunately, and the data backs it up.
I mean, one thing I learned from your channel, Michael, sounds like it's going to be a buyer's market, baby. Better get your ducks in a row.
Absolutely. And there's no guarantees, right? There's no guarantees that could be the
speculating,
case. But when you look at the data, that's what the most likely outcome is. Okay, so I can't tell you, well, hold off on buying a house until 2026 or 2027, because that's when we're going to really start seeing the flood of inventory coming in. That's just a guess, guys.
We don't
It's
know
an
the interest
estimate.
rates where they're going to be
But
at.
when you know the demographic trends are there, and you know people can't afford to have kids, you could argue the immigrants are going to come in and, you know, take all the housing, right? And the government's going to give them all the money to take all their housing. Well, that could happen, right? Anything can happen. I wouldn't put anything past this administration. If that happens, guys, I think it's going to be all-out anarchy in this country, because, you know, people aren't going to stand for, you know, nobody that's even from here getting a free house while we're all just...
Yet, that's what they're doing. It's almost as if they want anarchy to break out. It's almost if they want everyone to be very angry.
Sitting here trying to survive.
Oh, no, that wouldn't fly.
No.
No, absolutely not. There was one thing I will say, though, about the Mexicanos, though, or, you know, I guess, and whatever you want to call
The
them.
Mexicanos, the
too.
Venezuelans,
One
the
thing about them I knew,
Hondurans, what
you know, from
are you
living in
talking
LA
about?
And even from living
The
in
Chinese,
South Florida,
the
is
Indians,
they're really good
the
at
Sri
having,
Lankans,
like, 3 families in
all
one
of
house.
them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's like a big thing that they do. And you almost kind of gotta, like, I don't want to say admire it, but, you know, how many people out there could have 3 families living in one house and be all kumbaya? So if you ever ask yourself how they're affording to get paid, like, ridiculous, like, low wages, that's how. I just want to throw that out there in case, you know, some people never think about that.
Well, thanks a lot, Jack, for coming on the channel. Anybody who wants to go check his channel out, he's over at Jack Morgan RLP. Go check it out.
Jack,
and
you're
if you
a braver man than I.
enjoyed this video, make sure you're subscribed to the
All right, guys. That was fun. This was my first video. Hopefully it worked. I don't know. We'll see. I'll just upload to YouTube and see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. It's only going to get better, obviously, because this is the first one, and the first one sucks. So, hasta la vista.
channel. And if you don't want to
Oh, I forgot I hit the wrong button.